Namaskaram everyone. There has been a long gap for me to make a video and produce a video because, as you know, we're involved in a historical event in the civilization of humanity where Sadhguru consecrated Linga Vairavi Devi in Basundhara, Kathmandu few days back. So all of us were involved in a volunteering activity under the guidance of Sadhguru. There are many things to share regarding the consecration, regarding the yatra, regarding a lot of things that various seekers has asked. There has been questions on the similar lines that people have. I tried to answer in a small post, but I think it's not good enough. So I'm here today to explain a little bit. Before we venture out to what I have to share, a little bit of disclaimer. Please ensure that you don't take this as any spiritual guidance, instruction, or suggestion, or any kind of teaching per se. I'm just sharing my experience and the information that I have of validated information. So let's begin. So there has been many questions regarding the comparison of Gautama the Buddha and Shiva, Gautama the Buddha, and various yogis, as well as Gautama the Buddha and even Sadhguru. Many time back, one of the Anna actually asked me, what's the difference between the way of the Shiva and way of the Buddha? These questions has been answered by Sadhguru already. I'll just summarize because you can find this on the internet. As Sadhguru mentioned that out of the 112 methods that was provided by the Adi Yogi Shiva himself, Buddha used only one method generally to measure the people, which was known as the Anapanasati Yoga, or what we refer as a vipassana, or breath watching, or dharana. There is a reason. It's not like Gautama the Buddha didn't knew about the other practices or other methods, but it was the contemporary thing. Because he was traveling all over the place in northern India. He had very few moments that was available with the people. After his enlightenment, he walked all across northern India, going from village to village. And it was not like today's world that you can find a canned food or packaged food so that you can carry that with you. Buddha would manage, of course, by begging, but whatever the other people. So it was not possible for other people to travel with him because of the lack of the amenities and the resources. people have to stay where they were, where their livelihood was. So Buddha gave them a simple practice that would ensure that they are progressing in the spiritual path. There are other aspects also which Sadhguru has mentioned of Buddha. Similarly, on similar lines, on my yatra trail, finding out the energy spaces and mapping them, me and another Anna, I know he's watching this video, he remembers nicely. We went to the Jiva Samadhi of Satya Muni Siddhar, or Siddha as we know in English, but in Tamil we call it Siddhar. So Satya Muni Siddhar Samadhi on the northeast part of Madurai. We went in and came out, and he asked me the question that, what is Buddha's photo doing here? And this is going to answer what recently one Anna was sharing a lot of quotes of Sadhguru and a lot of quotes of Buddha which are similar. And there has been many instances where people actually shared the similarities between what Osho quoted and what Sadhguru was saying. The confusion and then this question, the need for comparison is raised only because you give too much significance on the appearance and then the personality. The personality and then the appearance has nothing to do with the inner qualities. There has been many stories, or even reality, also historical facts, that appearance has nothing to do with the essence, the quality of the realized being. There are many examples. Before I give you the straight answer, comparing two beings is the way of the mind. All beings in terms of appearance, personalities, and their capability to function in the world and to be able to play with different dimensions varies. And in this context, Yogi, the Shiva himself, Agastya Muni, Gautama the Buddha, Adi Sankaracharya, Sadhguru Sri Rama, and Sadhguru himself, and I forgot to mention Padmasambhava. And how can we forget Gorakhnath and other various beings who not only have realized but developed the mastery over different dimensions. So, comparing the realized beings is not a proper way. But if you really want to compare one realized being with the another realized being, we have to understand that a realized being or the enlightened being is one big zero, which means all of them has become utterly empty. Now, how can you compare one emptiness with another emptiness? How can you compare one zero with another zero? You can only compare how much full, or you can only compare non-zero numbers. For example, 1, 2, 3, you can compare. But how can you compare one zero with another zero? It's impossible. Only people who wants to become non-zero and big can be compared. And of course, the comparison will arise. And in terms of the comparison of the quotes, we have to understand that for a realized being, the words does not come from the mind. The words does not come from the life experience. Because both the life experience as well as whatever you learned is always limited. The quotes actually comes from the clear perception that arises from the emptiness. Because when it's empty, only then the mirror is empty. And in that emptiness mirror, the reality can reflect by itself. So whoever has accessed a dimension of emptiness, all words are going to be similar. Because the external world is contemporary. For example, at the time of the Shiva, he must have given different methods. In the time of the Buddha, he used one. At the time of a Shankaracharya, the methods might have been different. And now in the time of the Sadhguru, it's the Sambhavi Mudra, Sakti Chalana Kriya, Hatha Yoga, and Samyama. So, with time, the practices, the methods, they are going to be different. They are going to be contemporary. They are going to be unique. But the quotes that arise from the emptiness is timeless. So you cannot compare the timelessness one from the other. And the other thing is, any words, whether you speak or me or the Shiva or the Sadhguru or the Buddha, the words are always going to be contemporary, as well as contextual in nature, which basically means a same question that has been arised by different people needs respective attentions. A question that may arise from a child, a question that may arise from a king, the question that may arise from a monk, or same question arise from a householder. The context is always going to be different, because their experience and understanding of life and their purpose and their goal of lives are different. So in this context, what Sadhguru says is, for the one who is initiated on his spiritual practices, they don't need to read anything, because he gives the sadhana in such a way that you can have the live access of what the Guru knows. In accessing what Guru knows, you know what is needed to be known, because the rest is just all entertainment. So basically, comparing one enlightened being with the other is not actually necessary. And if you want to compare between their methods and everything, you don't need to worry about them. They are contemporary. And even if you know the method that Sadhguru gives to someone who is a genuine seeker, like brahmacharis, or Shiva gave to the Saptarishis, even if you know that, it's not going to make much of a difference to you unless you're ready to accept it or capable of handling it. So I think I answered the question. So comparison is completely unnecessary. We can go on discussing about different aspects. That is not going to take anybody anywhere else. So I end the video.